High above the Pacific, two F-22s close in on a ghost, an aircraft lost 30 years ago. But when the pilot speaks, time stands still. Commander Elena Frost, returning home. Her voice is real, and history is about to change. Pacific skies, 1995. The cockpit hummed quietly around Commander Elena Frost as she adjusted the throttle. XF-91 test flight, reaching flight level 320, she said into the mic, her voice steady. Copy that, Frost, came the reply from base control. You're clear to engage anomaly parameters. Outside, the sky was endless, blue above, darker blue below. No clouds. No chatter. Just the soft whir of her instruments and the low rumble of the engines. She looked down at the mission clock. 12 minutes in. No deviation. So far, just another flight. Except it wasn't. This wasn't routine. The jet she flew didn't technically exist, and the airspace around her had been locked down for this very reason. She flipped a switch on the console. The screen lit up, showing the strange electromagnetic distortion just ahead, what the engineers called a gravity lens. It looked harmless, like a shimmer in glass. Nothing more. Test point Alpha in visual range, Elena reported. Copy. Proceed with caution, said base control. She smiled slightly. Always with caution. They knew she wouldn't stop. Not Elena. Not when she was this close. She angled the nose toward the distortion. At first, nothing happened. Then the air shifted. Her hands tightened on the stick. The edges of the jet began to blur, almost like heat waves rising from the wings. The instruments flickered. The horizon disappeared. A deep hum, low and unnatural, rolled through the cockpit like a heartbeat from somewhere beyond. Command, I'm experiencing some kind of distortion, visual and audio. Stand by, she said, trying to keep her voice even. No reply. Command, do you read? Only static. She tapped the side of her headset. The cockpit lights dimmed. The screen flashed red, navigation failure. Every warning light lit up at once. The air around the jet shimmered like water. And then, nothing. No sound. No sensation. No sky. Just white. Elena's breathing was the only thing she could hear now. She wasn't falling. She wasn't climbing. She wasn't even moving. Hello, she whispered, not sure who she was talking to. And then it was over. In a blink, everything was gone. The jet, her voice, the world itself, vanished. Joint Base Langley Eustis. Control room. Sir, we've lost her. The control officer stared at the screen. The blip that had been Commander Frost's jet was gone, no fade, no drift. Just gone. Run it again, the flight director said. They did. Same result. No one spoke. No one could. In the silence, the legend of Elena Frost was born. USS Hamilton, South Pacific, present day. The ocean stretched for miles in every direction. Calm, blue, endless. On the flight deck of the USS Hamilton, aircraft sat lined up under the sun, their wings folded like resting birds. Everything was quiet. Routine. Until the alarm sounded. Inside the Combat Information Center, voices overlapped. Unidentified contact 40 miles out, moving fast. Altitude 33,000. Not responding to any hails. Rear Admiral Susan Collins stepped up to the main screen, eyes narrowing. Is it a drone? She asked. Negative, the radar tech replied. Thermal scan shows a manned aircraft. Collins crossed her arms. Send the scramble order. Flight deck. Lieutenant Mason Reed, call sign Hawk, was already halfway into his flight suit when the announcement hit. Unknown air contact, intercept protocol active. Launch team stand by. Hawk turned to his wingman, Captain Dana Lee, Viper. She raised an eyebrow. About time something broke the boredom. They ran to their F-22s. No hesitation, no wasted movement. Hawk climbed in, ran through his checklist, and gave the thumbs up. Tower, this is Hawk, ready for launch. Copy, Hawk. You are cleared. Good hunting. Steam hissed from the catapult rail as the fighter launched into the sky like a bullet. 30,000 feet up. Hawk steadied the controls, Viper flanking him a mile off. Got a visual yet? Viper's voice came through the headset. Working on it, Hawk replied, scanning the horizon. Radar says 10 clicks ahead. Still nothing on scope. And then, a glint. Something shimmered against the light, just above the clouds. Contact. 11 o'clock high, Hawk said. Closing in now. As they drew nearer, the outline became clearer. Hawk blinked. Viper, does that look like an old jet to you? Looks like something out of a museum, she answered. No markings. No tail number. That thing's ancient. Hawk keyed the mic, unidentified aircraft. This is U.S. Navy Interceptor. You are in restricted airspace. Respond immediately. Silence. Then a voice. Clear. Calm. Female. This is Commander Elena Frost, returning home. Mission complete. Hawk stared straight ahead. What the hell? Viper whispered. He didn't respond. He couldn't. The voice hadn't just answered. It sounded exactly like the name they'd heard in flight school. A legend. A ghost story. A pilot who vanished decades ago, flying a jet that shouldn't even exist. Say again. Hawk said into the mic, steady but cold. This is Commander Frost. U.S. Navy. Authorization Delta Romeo 7. Mission complete. Her jet matched no modern design. It flew steady, sure, but its lines were wrong. Too smooth. Too old. Too perfect. Command, this is Hawk, he said, switching channels. We have a situation. USS Hamilton, Combat Center. Admiral Collins listened to the recording 3 times. Each time, the voice stayed the same. Calm. Firm. Impossible. Did she say Elena Frost? She did, said her communications officer. Exactly like that. Collins turned to her aide. Put her on holding pattern. I want visual confirmation. And get me her file from 1995. She looked back at the screen. The blip held steady, just above them. High above the Pacific, 3 jets cut through the sky, 2 F-22 Raptors and 1 aircraft that shouldn't exist. Hawk flew in tight formation on the right. Viper held the left. The unknown jet cruised steadily between them. Matte silver skin. No tail markings. No radar signature. Still no ID match on this thing, Viper said. Not civilian, not military, not even a prototype on file. Yeah, Hawk muttered. Because it hasn't existed in 30 years. His eyes stayed locked on the jet's canopy. He could see her now. Helmet on. Visor down. Calm hands on the controls. Perfect formation flying, like she'd done it 1,000 times. And that voice. It echoed in his head. Commander Elena Frost, returning home. He flipped to the private channel. Ma'am, if you're really Commander Frost, you need to explain. That aircraft, this whole situation, it doesn't make sense. A pause. Then, again, her voice came through. Steady. Clear. I understand your concern, Lieutenant. I was part of a classified test program in '95. I encountered an anomaly mid-flight. My time passed differently, but I completed my mission. I'm requesting permission to land. Hawk took a breath. You're saying you disappeared 30 years ago, and to you, that was just a few hours? Yes, she said. Time doesn't work the same inside the lens. Viper cut in. You expect us to believe that? That you flew through some kind of time portal and just came back? I expect nothing, Frost replied. I'm just here to finish what I started. Down below, on the carrier, command staff listened to the exchange on speakers. Admiral Collins stood stiff, arms crossed. Her gaze didn't leave the screen. Voice sprint analysis, she asked. Running now, a tech replied. Seconds passed. Match confirmed. 100% identical to Commander Elena Frost, age 33, recorded in 1994. The room fell quiet. Collins whispered, that can't be. Back in the sky, Hawk's voice lowered. Ma'am, if that's really you, then you've been missing longer than I've been alive. I know, she said gently. And I'm sorry for what this must feel like. But I don't have much time. Viper muttered, this is nuts. Hawk pulled a little closer, flying wing to wing. Commander, he said. You're in restricted airspace. The carrier won't let you land unless you prove you're not a threat. Right now, they're not convinced. I understand, she said. Then let them run whatever checks they need. I'll hold pattern. He paused. You sure? Yes, but please tell them I brought something back. Something that matters. Her voice was calm, but something about the way she said it made Hawk sit up straighter. USS Hamilton, Command Center. Keep her circling at altitude, Admiral Collins ordered. No sudden moves. And someone dig up everything we have on Elena Frost, every mission log, every black file. I want to know exactly what she flew into. She stared at the radar screen. One ghost was flying overhead, and the past was coming down with it. The strange jet circled high above the carrier, just outside weapons range. It moved in wide, even arcs. Smooth. Controlled. Like it was waiting. On the bridge of the USS Hamilton, tension buzzed in the air. Admiral Collins leaned over the radar screen. She hasn't deviated. No erratic moves. That's discipline. Her communications officer stepped forward. Voice sprint came back, ma'am. It's her. 100% match to Commander Elena Frost. Collins didn't speak right away. You're sure? Yes, ma'am. Cross-checked with archived black box audio and her personnel file. It's not just close, it's exact. Pitch, tone, speech pattern. Collins turned to her XO. She died in 95. Test flight went dark. They ran search ops for a week. And now she's flying above us like nothing happened, the XO said. In the same aircraft. Collins stared out through the thick glass. The sky was clear up there, but everything else felt cloudy. Above the carrier, F-22 formation. Hawk and Viper held steady, flanking the old XF-91 like guard dogs unsure if the guest was a friend or a threat. Still holding pattern, Viper said. She hasn't even twitched. Yeah, Hawk replied. It's like she's waiting for permission to wake up. He flipped to the private channel. Commander Frost, this is Hawk. Just got word, your voice sprint checks out. They say it's a perfect match. I'm glad to hear it, she replied calmly. I was worried my signal wouldn't reach you clearly. You sound like you flew out yesterday. I did. For me. Hawk glanced over. He could just barely see her through the canopy. Steady hands. Focused eyes. This has the whole fleet buzzing, he said. I imagine it would, Frost answered. 30 years is a long time to explain. USS Hamilton, briefing room. Collins sat at the head of a narrow table, flipping through a file marked classified, eyes only. A faded photo of Elena Frost was clipped inside. Young, sharp-eyed, confident. Beside the file, a printed transcript of her recent radio call. Same voice. Same woman, Collins said. And if that's really her, we're looking at a miracle. Or something else. Lieutenant Commander Ramirez, head of ship security, frowned. Or a threat. That's tech we don't understand. For all we know, that's not even a real aircraft. You think it's some kind of decoy? Collins asked. Or bait, he said. Or worse, some kind of foreign copy. The Admiral closed the file and stood. Let's not jump. She hasn't made a single aggressive move. She's not running. She's waiting. That tells me something. Ramirez didn't respond. Collins looked out toward the open sky. We need more than voice sprints. I want biological scans, telemetry, heat sigs, anything. If it's really her, we'll know soon enough. Above, final loop of holding pattern. Inside her jet, Elena Frost adjusted a dial, then glanced toward the carrier far below. It looked different. Bigger. Modern. The whole world looked sharper, faster. But somehow it felt the same. She exhaled slowly. I'm home. They just don't know it yet. Above the Pacific, holding pattern. The XF-91 glided through the sky in wide, smooth circles. Inside the cockpit, Commander Elena Frost stared straight ahead. She watched the clouds shift slowly beneath her, the F-22s still flying on either side. Hawk on the right. Viper on the left. Her hands stayed steady on the controls, but her mind was somewhere else. They don't trust me yet. I wouldn't either. The private channel crackled. This is Hawk, Mason said. Command wants more info. If you're willing to talk, I'll listen. Elena clicked the comms on. What do you want to know? Everything, Hawk replied. Start with what happened up there. She exhaled slowly. All right, she said. I'll try. Flashback to 1995. I hit the anomaly just past test point Alpha. It didn't look like much, a shimmer in the sky, like heat off the ground. I remember seeing the horizon twist. Then everything went white. Not blinding, just empty. I couldn't see, couldn't feel the jet. Couldn't feel time. I was inside it. Or maybe outside everything. Hawk's voice came through, soft now. Were you scared? Yes, she said. At first. But then, something changed. I wasn't floating. I wasn't falling. I was just there. And it wasn't empty anymore. It was like a sea of light. Shifting colors, impossible shapes. Not like anything we know. Present day, F-22 cockpits. Viper stayed silent, listening now. Elena continued. I don't know how long I was inside. Minutes? Hours? For me, it wasn't long. But I realized I wasn't just trapped. I was being shown something. What do you mean? Hawk asked. I saw energy patterns. Constant motion. Balanced systems that didn't burn or pollute. A natural fusion. Not made by humans, but understandable. Replicable. You're saying you brought back data? Yes. It's secure in my cockpit. A crystal drive. Everything I could record. If we can decode it, this world could change. There was a pause on the channel. Then Hawk spoke again. You expect Command to believe all that? No, Elena said. I don't. That's why I came back myself. To show them I'm real. To prove I finished the mission. USS Hamilton, command room. Collins stood listening to the live audio. She said nothing for a long moment. Fusion technology from outside our world? Ramirez said. This is insane. Collins ignored him. She's not asking for asylum. She's not asking for protection. She's asking to be heard. And she expects us to open the deck for her? She came back alone. That says something. Above the carrier. The sun was dipping lower on the horizon. Elena looked out over the clouds. The ocean stretched far below, still as ever. Lieutenant, she said, I don't know how long this window stays open. The readings I took showed the anomaly is unstable. If it returns and no one's ready, we could lose it forever. So what are you asking? Hawk replied. Permission to land. Let me give them what I found. Before it's too late. USS Hamilton, Admiral's briefing room. Admiral Collins stood at the center of the room, arms crossed, eyes fixed on the wall screen. It showed the unknown aircraft still circling above, two aft to us close on either side like loyal shadows. Washington just responded, her aide said, holding a fresh message printout. Collins took it, read it twice. Her face didn't move, but her jaw tightened slightly. Well, asked Lieutenant Commander Ramirez, standing near the table. They want the aircraft brought in under full containment, Collins said. Pilot detained. Debriefed under supervision. No contact until cleared by Defense Command. Ramirez nodded. That's the right call. We don't know what that thing is or who's really inside it. She hasn't made a move against us, Collins said. She's done everything we've asked, held position, shared intel, opened communication. Ramirez folded his arms. Could be part of the trick. She's flying an aircraft from 1995, Collins said. One that doesn't exist anymore. A voice that matches perfectly. Even the call signs are right. You think a foreign op could fake all of that? I think if we trust too fast, we risk this whole fleet. Sky above the carrier. Hawk heard the pause on the command channel. The kind that always meant decisions were being made behind closed doors. Anything? Viper asked. Not yet, Hawk said. But I've got a bad feeling. The private channel lit up again. Lieutenant, Frost said quietly if they don't let me land. I won't have much time left. Fuel? Hawk asked. Yes. My jet wasn't built to orbit forever. And I can already feel the engine losing pressure. I'm trying, he said. But I'm just a voice on the radio. You're more than that, she said. You're the first person I've spoken to in 30 years. You believed me enough to keep flying next to me. That means something. He didn't know what to say. So he said nothing. USS Hamilton, outside the briefing room. Collins stepped out into the hallway. The setting sun cast long shadows down the passage. She looked up through a narrow window. That jet was still up there, still circling, still waiting. Her aide caught up with her. Ma'am, the crew's starting to talk. Some of the older engineers. They know who she is. They remember the name. One even trained under her back in the day. Collins exhaled. Of course they do. She was a legend. The youngest test pilot in the program. Brilliant, reckless, and brave. So what do we do? She was quiet for a moment. Then, we buy time. Bridge, command channel. Lieutenant Hawk, this is Admiral Collins. Her voice came through clear. Go ahead, ma'am, he replied. You are cleared to maintain escort. Keep her in the air, safe. But under no circumstances is she to land until further notice. Yes, ma'am. Frost's voice cut in. Understood. Above the Pacific, late afternoon. The sky was changing. The golden light of sunset faded behind thick, fast-moving clouds. What had been clear an hour ago now looked uncertain. Inside his F-22, Hawk scanned the horizon. Viper, you see that weather building? Yeah, she replied. Big storm cell coming in from the west. Radar shows gusts, turbulence, and a whole lot of trouble. Hawk switched to the private channel. Commander Frost, you still with us? I'm here, she answered. Her voice was steady, but there was something in it now tired. Fuel status. Lower than I'd like, she said. The systems are holding, but barely. I'm getting pressure drops and temperature spikes. This plane wasn't meant to fly in your air for this long. Viper cut in. Command still hasn't cleared you to land. They're stalling. I know, Elena said. But I can't stay up here much longer. Not with that storm moving in. Hawk looked down at the carrier below. It was already turning into the wind, preparing for heavy weather. Deck lights were coming on. Even from high up, it looked tense. Do they know what's at stake? Elena asked softly. They know, Hawk said. They just don't know what to believe. USS Hamilton, Combat Center. Storm's going to hit us in 20 minutes, a weather officer reported. Winds climbing fast. Visibility dropping. Admiral Collins stood at the command table, arms crossed, face grim. She won't survive a ditching, she said. Not in that aircraft. Not in these conditions. Ramirez spoke up. Then she should have landed before wasting time with stories. Collins turned sharply. She waited because we told her to. She still could be a risk, he said. If we let her land and she's not who she says. Or, Collins snapped, we lose the one person who may have brought back the most important data this world's ever seen. Silence followed. Then Collins picked up the mic. Bridge. Prep for emergency operations. Don't open the deck yet. But stand by. Sky above. Clouds gathering. The first drops hit Elena's canopy. She glanced at the fuel gauge. It was dipping into red now. Her hands gripped the stick tighter. The aircraft trembled with each gust of wind. Hawk, she said quietly, I need a decision. I don't want to crash into your ocean. I'm with you, Hawk replied, checking his HUD. We'll figure something out. Viper added, we've got your back. But if things go sideways, you ditch and eject. Don't go down with that jet. Elena's voice dropped. I can't eject. The data is stored in a fixed core. If the aircraft breaks apart, it's gone. This isn't just about me. The wind howled across Hawk's canopy. He said nothing for a moment. Then, I'll talk to Collins. A deck. USS Hamilton. The flight deck was soaked. Winds whipped across it as crew strapped down equipment. Red lights flashed. Emergency landing protocol was live. The landing signal officer braced at his station, squinting through the rain. We've got a ghost inbound, he muttered. Let's hope she's got one more miracle left. In the air, final approach. Hawk opened a private channel. Elena, we've got clearance. Follow my lead. Her reply came softly. Copy that. Viper, give her a flare path. On it. Viper surged ahead, then dropped altitude, kicking in her afterburners. The twin flames lit the sky, casting a glowing trail toward the carrier. Visual on runway, Elena said. Still no instruments. I'm flying blind. You're not blind, Hawk said. You've got me. Stay on my wing. He adjusted his pitch, dropping slowly. Elena mirrored him. Her hands were steady, but her heart was racing. She couldn't afford to miss this landing. Not with everything in the jet. The rain thickened. The deck lights below looked like stars floating in a black sea. Coming in too fast, she said. Ease back on throttle. Little more. Good. You're lined up. She could barely see the carrier through the storm. Her altimeter blinked nonsense. She focused on Hawk's voice. You're doing great. 20 feet. 10. Hold steady. The wheels hit the deck hard. The tailhook scraped, missed the first cable. Caught the third. The jet lurched, metal screeching. Sparks flew. Water sprayed. The XF-91 groaned but held together. And then, silence. She was down. Flight deck, seconds later. Deck crew ran in, securing the jet, surrounding it with emergency teams. One pulled the canopy lever. The glass slid open. Elena Frost sat inside, soaked, breathing hard. She pulled off her helmet, revealing a face far too young for someone missing 30 years. She looked up at the crew and said simply, requesting debrief. One of the crew whispered, "It really is her. Bridge. USS Hamilton." Collins stared at the landing footage, shaking her head in disbelief. She made it. She did, said her aide. With help. Collins nodded slowly. Get that data she brought. Lock it down tight. And someone thank those two pilots. USS Hamilton, debriefing room, 1 hour after landing. The room was small, quiet, and sealed. Just a metal table, a few chairs, and a recorder blinking red. Commander Elena Frost sat on one side. Admiral Collins sat across from her. A security officer stood in the corner, arms folded, watching everything. On the table between them sat a small black case, weathered, scorched at the corners, but still intact. Collins nodded toward it. That what you brought back? Elena opened the case slowly and pulled out a clear crystal drive about the size of her palm. It glowed faintly with a soft blue light. This, she said, contains data pulled directly from inside the anomaly. I don't know how to explain everything in it, but I know what I saw. What exactly did you bring us? Collins asked. Elena met her eyes. A new kind of energy. A clean one. The structures I saw in there, they weren't just random. They worked. I recorded frequency patterns, wave behaviors. I think they were creating controlled fusion. No waste. No radiation. Just endless power, stabilized by the environment itself. Collins blinked. You're telling me that this drive has the key to unlimited clean energy? I'm telling you, Elena said, that it's a start. With the right minds and time, it could be the biggest leap forward in human history. The room went still. The security officer shifted but said nothing. Even he didn't look skeptical anymore. Flight deck, later that night. Hawk leaned against the wing of his grounded jet, watching the lights flicker across the wet deck. Viper stood next to him, arms crossed, helmet under her arm. She made it, Hawk said quietly. She did, Viper nodded. And she brought something with her. He looked up at the stars, barely visible through fading storm clouds. You think they'll use it? He asked. They'd be fools not to, she replied. USS Hamilton, Command Bridge. Collins held the drive in her hand now, turning it slowly, watching it glow. Her aide stood nearby. Washington's already asking for updates. Tell them she's real, Collins said. And tell them she didn't come back empty-handed. You believe her? Collins looked through the bridge window at the vintage jet tied down on the deck. She didn't lie. She didn't run. She landed. And she gave us something instead of demanding anything. That says enough. She handed him the drive. Get it to the science team. Top clearance only. Debrief room. Elena alone. Elena sat quietly now, hands resting in her lap. She could still feel the tremble in her muscles from the storm, from the weight of the landing. But more than that, she felt something else, relief. She had made it. She had brought something home. Now the rest was up to them. USS Hamilton, Medical Bay, next morning. Elena sat on the exam table, legs swinging slightly as the Navy doctor scanned her vitals for the third time. You're sure you haven't had surgery? No hormone therapy? Nothing unusual. She smiled. Just good genes, I guess. The doctor shook his head, staring at the report. Physically, you're 33. Exactly the same as your last military record filed in 1995. He lowered the tablet. You should be over 60. I should be, she agreed. A knock on the door interrupted them. Admiral Collins stepped in. You're cleared. Full identity confirmed. Command is, still processing the rest. They'll want the data, Elena said. They already do. But there's something else they want now. Elena raised an eyebrow. Collins continued, we analyzed your flight recorder. Just before the return, there was a spike in electromagnetic readings. Stronger than what you passed through in 95. It's reopening, Elena said, nodding. I thought it might. How soon? Within 48 hours. Maybe less. Collins exhaled. Then we need a new mission. One with you at the center. Briefing room. 2 hours later. A full team of officers, engineers, and scientists sat around the table. The room buzzed with quiet urgency. Elena stood at the front, in flight uniform, pointing to a projection of a swirling energy pattern. This is the anomaly's pulse. Based on my recordings, it shifts once every 30 years. But the window to pass through only lasts about 10 minutes. You think someone else will try? One officer asked. They already are, Elena said. That kind of energy signature doesn't go unnoticed anymore. Collins entered with a file. We've confirmed that several other nations picked up the spike. Satellite records show at least 2 recon craft passed near the site last night. So what's the play? Hawk asked, seated near the back. We go back, Collins said. Before someone else does. The room went silent. You want to send her into that again? Ramirez asked, incredulous. I do, Collins replied. But this time, she won't go alone. All eyes turned to Hawk and Viper. Hawk leaned forward. When do we leave? Flight deck, that evening. 3 aircraft sat prepped and ready. 1 rebuilt XF-91. 2 custom F-22s modified with onboard data recorders and new shielding. Elena tightened her gloves and looked toward the ocean. The air felt different, charged. Viper approached. You sure about this? Elena smiled. I've been sure for 30 years. Hawk walked up beside them. Well, let's go see what's out there. Final scene. Above the Pacific. The jets raced toward the growing shimmer in the sky, pulsing brighter with each second. Elena's voice came over the radio. Same sky. Same coordinates. But this time, we go in together. The horizon rippled, bending light like water. The anomaly was wide open. 3 seconds, Hawk said. 2. They vanished into the light. Somewhere in the future. A voiceover plays over a starfield. We thought we lost her. But she came back with more than answers. She came back with a future. And beneath that, the signal returns. Clear. Strong. And calling someone else home. But the mission has only just begun. If this story stirred your heart or sparked your imagination, we'd love to hear from you. Tap the like button if you enjoyed the journey, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories like this one. And please share your thoughts or memories in the comments. We read every one, and your words truly matter.